mentioned that one of the early symptoms of the zombie virus is chills.
Yes.
Could Danny's complaint of feeling cold have actually indicated early symptoms of infection?
It's possible, but again, given the totality of the circumstances, it's still my opinion that his using the hoodie was a method of trying to conceal his identity.
Another reason you gave for Danny not being able to distinguish right and wrong was that he made efforts to avoid detection, correct?
Yes.
If someone breaks into a house despite having an alternative silent means of entry, is that consistent with making efforts to avoid detection?
No, it's not.
Danny had a key to the house in his pocket that night, yet broke into the house. Do you still maintain that he made efforts to avoid detection?
So again, although he had a key, he was wearing a hoodie, dressed in all black, committed the crime at night. To me, that says he was trying to avoid detection.
No further questions.
Mr. Naylor, your opening arguments?
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard from the prosecution and its expert as they try to tell you their version of the story, arguing that Danny was sane at the time of Victor's death. But during cross-examination, as you just saw, you also heard that Danny was already showing signs of infection before he even left the bar, chills, for example, and that he broke into the house despite having a key in his pocket, and that the killing, which included mutilation and cannibalism, fits the behavior of those suffering from the zombie virus. And now you're going to hear from our own expert witness, Dr. Kama, an experienced forensic psychiatrist and authority on this terrible disease. Dr. Kama will show that Danny was already seriously ill by the time he arrived at Victor's home. And Dr. Kama will also show that Danny was so mentally impaired as a result of infection with the zombie virus at the time of Victor's death that he did not know that what he was doing, and did not know what he was doing, and he did not know that what he was doing was wrong. So, Your Honor, I now call Dr. Kama as a witness. Good evening, Dr. Kama. What do you think? In your expert opinion, was Danny suffering from a mental disorder or defect at the time of Victor's death?
Yes, in my opinion, with reasonable medical certainty, he was suffering from the mental disorder of dementia secondary to the zombie virus with behavioral disturbance at the time of the act.
And what evidence do you rely upon to form that?
Well, Danny was infected with the zombie virus and he showed several mental symptoms. For example, police noted that he was disorganized, disoriented, not following instructions. When he was taken to the ER, he was noted to try to bite them. He was noted to be severely confused and not cooperating.
And in your opinion, when did Danny first begin to show symptoms of the disease?
In my opinion, he first started showing symptoms of the disease when he was at the bar, which was approximately sometime between 10:20 p.m. and midnight.
And did Danny show any other symptoms of the disease before Victor's death occurred?
Well, other than the symptoms that he showed at the bar, being cold and puffy eyes, he broke into his own home despite having a key in his pocket, and that was the main sign at that point.
And what about the time of Victor's death, the actual killing?
Well, the manner in which the body was mutilated suggests significant disorganization. He was found chewing on the flesh when the police arrived, showing cannibalistic tendencies. All these behaviors are consistent with severe symptoms of infection with zombie virus.
And did Danny, flee the scene or take any precautions to avoid contamination of the scene or detection?
No, he did not.
Could Danny's disease have progressed significantly between Victor's death and the arrival of the police?
In my opinion, no. Based on the other evidence, he was already at a severe stage of infection, so there wouldn't have been much progression from that point to when the police arrived.
So in your opinion, Danny's response to the police officers would indicate his mental state at the time of Victor's death?
Yes, that's correct.
And what did that response indicate?
Well, that response indicated several things. Him not responding to the verbal orders, being tasered twice, stopping, and then restarting and trying to consume the body indicated later, more severe stages of infection. Also, because so little time elapsed between Victor's death and when the police arrived, we can understand that behavior that we saw when the police arrived reflected his mental state at the time of the act.
And how would you interpret findings of the EMT who treated Danny?
I'm going to object to this. Dr. Kalmbach, illustrious that we use, is a psychiatrist, not an emergency physician. This is outside his area of expertise.
He is a forensic psychiatrist, and being asked about the psychiatric implications of the reports of the
Overruled.
Could you re-ask the question, please?
Yes. How would you interpret the findings of the EMT who treated Danny?
Well, the EMTs had difficulty finding a pulse. They said he was cool to the touch. He was non-conversant. All of those things are consistent with later stages of infection with the zombie virus.
And based on all of this evidence, how would you describe the progression of the disease in Danny's particular case?
Well, this is a typical case of zombie virus. Someone was infected. They had the initial onset of symptoms, rapidly progressed to these more severe stages of cognitive and behavioral disturbances.
Then based on that rapid progression and Danny's behavior, is it your expert opinion that Danny understood the nature and quality of his actions at the time of Victor's death?
No, it's not. It's my opinion with reasonable certainty that Danny suffered from dementia secondary to zombie virus with behavioral disturbance at the time of the act, and that disease, that disorder, rendered him incapable of knowing or understanding the nature and quality of his actions. There are several pieces of evidence that support that. Evidence before Victor was killed, such as breaking the entryway of his own home without a key or without using a key, and evidence after, for example, being observed to be confused, incoherent, gnawing on the body, support my opinion.
And is it your expert opinion that Danny understood the difference between right and wrong at the time of Victor's death?
No, again, it's not my opinion. My opinion is that with reasonable medical certainty, Danny's dementia secondary to the zombie virus caused him to be incapable of distinguishing right from wrong.
So, Dr. Kalmbach, please describe any actions in particular that Danny did or didn't take that support these expert opinions.
Well, he didn't take any actions to evade capture. He didn't take any actions to avoid detection. So, for example, to avoid detection, he did not clean up the crime scene. He did not dispose of the body. He didn't wear gloves. Yes, he had a hoodie on, but he didn't cover his face on. He didn't wear a mask. Yes, he had all black on, but he left the house wearing black and was given a black hoodie at the bar. In addition, no efforts were made to evade capture. He didn't flee from the scene when the police showed. He just stayed there chewing on the body.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Davidson, any questions?
Yes, indeed. Dr. Kalmbach, would you remind us what the normal time frame is between the initial onset of symptoms and end stages of the disease?
Well, my experience has been in treating several of these individuals that it is a 2 to 6 hour window.
And when would you say we said he first presented symptoms at the bar?
Yes,
So sometime between about 10:20 and midnight.
that's correct.
We know the killing occurred around 1 o'clock.
Yes.
And it's your opinion that Danny had progressed from the initial stages to the end stages before 1 o'clock.
That's correct.
How long a time is that?
It's between 1 to 2.5 hours.
So this would be really, really quick as far as the average course of the disease goes.
Well, the 2 to 6 hours is an average. So there are people that are going to progress more rapidly. There's people that are going to progress more slowly.
But this is still at the very low end of usual time frames.
It's less than the average.
Fair enough. And the police arrived around 3 o'clock. Now, how long is that after first symptoms showed us?
Well, it's could be approximately 2 hours later.
So something like 4 hours after he first showed up at the bar, maybe even 5.
Possibly.
Okay. Would that put him a little more in the middle of this time frame?
Yes, that would be closer to the average.
So if Danny entered the end stages of the diseases after the killing around 1 o'clock, but before the police arrived. That would be an average progression of the disease.
Yes, again, a population average.
What evidence of Danny's severe mental disturbance do you have before the killing?
Well, he broke into his own home despite having a key in his pocket. Made no preparation to kill. Didn't wear gloves, didn't wear a mask.
But all this stuff about knowing the corpse, that all happened after the killing.
No, if he was in the state of the severe level of symptoms, these types of behaviors would have been happening at the time of the killing.
Earlier you said that you didn't think it was possible for him to have his disease to have progressed much between the time of the killing and the police arriving 2 hours later. Correct?
Yes.
Would your opinion change if he had not entered the late stages of the disease before 1 o'clock?